It's Monday. I went across to the shed and drained the pressure accumulator and gave the genset its weekly maintenance run. But then subsequently I've had a reminder come up that I'm supposed to replace the UV tube. On the water filter system here at the shed, there's a two-stage filter system with the fabric and carbon block filters and the UV sterilizer tube. Now, in normal 24/7 use, you replace the filters every 6 months, every year, and the UV tube every 6 months. Now, because of the timer system I've got out there, this thing's only in use 12/7. So if you go, okay, that extends the life of these things. And under there, as well as the spare filter there at the front, I have 10 years of supplies of normal use for filters and UV tubes, which means in this case 20 years of supply. Should see me out, so I'm going to go and replace the UV tube. Recording? Yes, okay. It's pretty straightforward. Turn this thing off. Persuade the rubber thing to come off the end here. Just over the old knob. And there's the tube. Take the connector off. This thing's actually a bit warm. So there's the old one. Disposing of that's going to be interesting. I'm not quite sure how we're going to go about that. Careful not to get fingerprints on this thing, because it's like to leave a grease mark which will end up overheating. Okay, so far so good. Get my connector back on the end. That's on. It's held in there by this rubber sleeve. Okay. According to that, we're back on. Job's right. Now just got to clean up. All good. Right, okay, done. While I was here, I noticed that Jakarta's chook fence had fallen down because cable ties had gone away, so I've renewed those. So yeah, well now I'm going to close up and head back to where it's cooler because it's damned hot. That tells the story. 32 degrees C outside, 79% humidity. No wonder I'm uncomfortable. Here we are just before 6:30 on Tuesday morning, about to head off to Jakarta again for my cataract surgery. This'll be another long day. Here we are 4 hours later, approaching the hospital. I'm in my favourite restaurant in Serang, that's where I am.
It's about 20 to 7. 20 to 6. Losing track. But yeah, had the surgery quite well. Still got my mark indicate which way it was supposed to be. So the lens has been gutted out of that eye and replaced with an artificial lens. And my vision is actually quite good. So instant results. And they just had a topical anesthetic on it. So just a few drops, which they kept doing and doing and doing. And other drops to dilate the pupil, which they had to do a few times to get it to the right size. But it was no worse than going to the dentist, really. So no problem about doing it again when the other eye needs it. So yeah, we're about 2.5 hours from home now. 76 kilometres. Yeah, so the 4-hour journey to the hospital this morning, that was 160 kilometres. So it gives you an idea of what travelling in Indonesia is like. The last 86 kilometres that was actually on toll road. So yeah, and we're going back again tomorrow because got to get a follow-up from the surgeon the day after, and she'll be in a different hospital, so we get to go to a different hospital. Well, that'll be at 2:30 in the afternoon. We're supposed to see her, so that'll be a long day by the time we get home at night. But it's cheaper to go there and back twice than stay overnight, because we'd have to pay for the car the second day anyway. So that's the status for today. I have an eye shield I'm supposed to wear at night or when I'm napping to stop me rubbing my eye. Took us a bit of tape to fix it securely. We might be more efficient at the next try. But that's what I've got for tonight. Here we are on our way home from another trip to Jakarta. Sort of the follow-up to the surgery yesterday. And this is something you see on the roads here, is this is a person who does not want to exceed 25 kilometres an hour. And that's not uncommon. I just don't quite understand it myself. Get out on the roads occasionally, you'll see these people totally long at 20 to 25 kilometres an hour. Everybody has to go around them. It seems to be a perfectly good car. So I don't know what the fear of speed is, but it's certainly not something you'd see in Australia. So it's the second day post-surgery, and my eyesight's just as good with and without glasses now, but I am wearing the glasses currently for two reasons. First is as a safety shield, because I'm not supposed to get anything in my left eye at the moment, and secondly they're the solar transitions ones, so they go darker out in the sunlight. So they're my sunglasses. But I'm off to the shed to do the usual routine of draining the pressure accumulator. So there's rice crop out the back of the shed here is already coming up into the heads. Focus that. So looks like not long till harvest, but people were getting a bit concerned because they need rain. Oh, it sounds strange to say that, but if they don't have the rice in standing water, what happens is the weeds start to grow and becomes a competition for the rice. Weed pressure is never a good thing. So that's why a couple of weeks ago there was a guy with a pump down in the creek there pumping water up into this. So
Yeah, the trials and tribulations of being a farmer, eh? I've turned off the pump before I came down here, so that's just gravity draining that out, and I haven't actually opened the valve at the pressure accumulator yet, so yeah, a fair bit flows without. Okay, I'll go and open the valve now. I moved this PC a bit further from the wall there because I'm expecting another device to turn up that I'm going to slot in underneath that PoE switch. I ordered a new pan-tilt zoom camera because the one on the west end of this shed, I think it works okay if it's got power directly connected to it rather than via a PoE splitter, which I don't understand. But so I bought a replacement camera to put up there, or actually bought a replacement camera to try on the southeast corner of the house, because that one's just no good, it always freezes. That's got a storied history in that when it first arrived in Australia there was lots and lots of condensation inside the lens, and I unscrewed the cover off the back of it, tipped it up, and moisture came out. So okay, so I left it outside on a 40-degree day for a few hours to dry out. It was kind of okay after that, but now it's started to fail, so I'll establish a connection to it and I'll get a continual picture for a few seconds or minutes, and then it'll just freeze and stop and might be hard to connect to again. So I thought, right, I'll replace that one, and if what I get for that is a good replacement, I'll use that same sort of camera on the west end of the shed to replace the one up there. I screwed up. The camera I bought was not an IP camera, it's a coax PTZ camera. So okay, well, that's a bit challenging. So I could either replace one of the coax connected fixed cameras at the house, or because I have other plans in the future here, I thought, okay, well, I'll get myself a little 4-channel DVR that can take the coax connection, and that's going to go there. And I have the extra cables for the coax type connected cameras because I bought some longer ones for the 8-camera system at the house, and I've got some cables left over as a result of that. So what I'm planning to do is put the DVR there and run a cable up and across and up to the west end up there, and put the coax connected PTZ up there, and the one that comes down from there, there's a fair chance that will work on the southeast corner of the house. So I have all these things that all have to line up and work, but I'll get there eventually. But when I've financially recovered from my cataract surgery, which won't be long because it's ended up costing probably, well, much less than $4,000, I'll get back onto trying to get the people from Indotara to respond to me to see about getting this BOMAC unit running again. I sent an email to my contacts there and got zero response. Okay, but it's somewhat the Indonesian way, apparently, because originally when I was seeking quotes for a machine like this, I sent inquiries out to about 4 or 5 different companies, got responses back from exactly 2, BOMAC and Caterpillar, and I thought, okay, I'd actually prefer to go with Caterpillar because I know that's good stuff. I actually used to work for them years and years ago, and even though it would cost me probably 50% more, I was prepared to go that way. But after my first interaction with the for Caterpillar. I never got another response from them. I thought, okay, they really want the business, don't they? So that's why I ended up with this Bomac, which is now dead. But that'll just be a corrosion issue with the, well, 3 possibilities that I can think of, not being expert in such things. One is that the ignition switch has got corroded contacts, because turning that on and off does absolutely nothing. Next possibility is that the relay that powers for the main power has got corroded contacts or has failed, or there might be a fuse that's failed, and they don't even supply a manual of this thing. It's pretty poor, really. So I don't even know where to find the fuses on this. It's not obvious. So we need to get one of their technicians out to get it working again, replace the wiper arms, and perhaps give it a service, because we've had it for long enough now that even though it hasn't got the service hours high enough, it's got the elapsed hours on the calendar long enough that yes, it should have its oil changed. But that can wait for a while. There's no rush to use this thing. Went to Jury Farm in Tangerang yesterday. Jury Farm so I found them on the internet. They're a supplier of hydroponic stuff and aquaculture kits, but it was a struggle to find them, but then we found them and they turned out to be not terribly useful. I'll be able to get the plastic stuff for hydroponic growing trays and tanks, plastic tanks for a starter aquaculture kit, but they don't do supplies for things like I've got to figure out where to get fish and fish food somewhere else. So not in a rush for that, and that comes after I move the equipment that this thing has as attachments that are outside, because I want to use that area where they are, is the aquaponics area. So yeah, still things on the go here, and still waiting for the team to give me a schedule for when they're going to turn up to look into fixing up the genset attached to this. Life goes on. Okay, now that I've talked long enough for this to have drained, I shall close off that tap over there and get everything back in operation. Turned the water back on, but I forgot to turn off that valve, so I've got to go and I've turned off the pump again. I got to go repeat the drain down process. Silly me. Well, that's all sorted out now. The pressure accumulator is drained properly this time, with the vent valve turned off before I turned the pump back on. But I'll just shut down this computer now and go back to my nice cool lounge room. Already, what are we saying? The device will need to restart to update outside active hours. Yeah, restart now. What the hell? I'll do that. But yeah, so it's 8:30. 28 degrees outside and 87% humidity. Welcome to my steamy world. Well, as can be seen from that earlier clip from the same position, I don't have my new autofocus lens yet. So it's a bit hard to see on this small screen here whether I'm in focus properly or not. Yeah, so it's Friday. Cataract surgery last Tuesday. Not supposed to get my eye wet for 3 days, so just to be on the safe side, I've figured, okay, well, won't wash my face until tomorrow properly. Wasn't supposed to get my eye wet at all. and they said don't shower for 3 days. Well, sorry, that's not an option. So being a creative bugger, I put on the full face motorcycle helmet to have a shower. Does the job fine. Yeah, so time's rushed by, so I need to go and do a drain on the pressure accumulator again. Meanwhile, Spider's over there cleaning up. I shall get on with it. Well, that's all done. And this time I remembered to turn off the vent valve before I turned the pump on. Jabita's still up over there in the wet area cleaning it up. She's a bit of an OCD cleaner, which I can't complain about at all. Apart from the fact that she picks things up and moves them to clean them and doesn't put them back. So I sometimes can't find things that I put down. And that makes it fun because I'll say, where'd you put the such and such? I know what you're talking about. Ah, okay, I got to hunt for it. But such is married life. Can't complain about that at all. It's pretty good. Well, it's 8:30. It's getting warm. Time to go back inside and do an upload.